Assalamu alaikum viewers, you are watching Prime Time with me Anjum Malik on Voice of Toronto Television. Assalamu alaikum, a very good evening to you. आज फ्राइडे है जून 18। मेरा और आपका साथ रहता है एवरी फ्राइडे को लाइव ऑन वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टेलीविज़न प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर, और आप ये प्रोग्राम लाइव देखते हैं सारे आईपी बॉक्सेस के ऊपर। हम सोशल मीडिया पे लाइव हैं एट वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टीवी पे, आप फेसबुक लाइव पे जा सकते हैं, आप हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पे जा सकते हैं, और इंस्टाग्राम पे वी आर लाइव एवरीवेयर। हमारे स्टूडियोज़ की लाइन के नंबर हैं 9056704114 और हमारा ईमेल एड्रेस है voiceoftorontotv@gmail.com। नाज़रीन, आज ख़ास तौर पे ये जो प्रोग्राम है हमारा प्राइम टाइम, इसमें जैसे कि आपको इल्म है कि जो लंदन ओंटारियो में जो हेट क्राइम की वजह से एक इंसिडेंट हुआ था जिसमें हमारे पाकिस्तानी फैमिली ख़ास तौर पे जो शहीद हो गए 4 मेंबर्स, और एक उनका बेटा जो है वो हॉस्पिटलाइज है, ज़ख्मी है। इस हवाले से हमने पिछले वीक भी एक प्रोग्राम किया था, हमने लाइव विजुअल के ऊपर भी कवरेज की और बहुत सारी हमने डिस्कशंस की इस हवाले से। लेकिन आज ख़ास तौर पे इस प्रोग्राम के तवस्सुस से मैंने कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ ऑफ पील जो है उनको मैंने आज अपना एज ए गेस्ट के तौर पे इस प्रोग्राम में लिया है। उनके सीईओ डेविड स्मिथ हमारे साथ होंगे और उनके क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट जो हैं संतोषा हमारे साथ होंगी। उनसे हम बात करेंगे कि क्या ऐसी रीज़न्स हैं जिसकी वजह से इस तरह के जो वाक़यात हैं वो होते हैं हमारे शहर में, हमारे इस मुल्क में, और उसके सद्दबाब के लिए कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है वो क्या क्या कर रही है, उसके क्या क्या प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं, आपको कब उनको कॉल करना चाहिए, उनके नंबर्स क्या हैं, उनका असेसमेंट क्राइटेरिया क्या है, वो किस किस्म के ट्रीटमेंट्स करते हैं, डिप्रेशंस को कैसे डील करते हैं, सुसाइडल थॉट्स अगर आती हैं आपको तो वो कैसे आप हेल्प ले सकते हैं, ओवरडोजेस के हवाले से, सेल्फ मेडिकेशन के हवाले से। तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो आज इस प्रोग्राम के तवस्सुस से हमने कोशिश की हैं, उसको कंपाइल किया है, और मेरे साथ लाइव वो आज बात करेंगे। डेविड स्मिथ हमारे साथ होंगे और संतोषा हमारे साथ होंगी, और आगे चल के प्रोग्राम में हमारे साथ नतालिया होंगी जो कि MPP हैं और पार्लियामेंट्री असिस्टेंट हैं। उनसे हम बात करेंगे थोड़ा सा जो रीओपनिंग की तरफ हम जा रहे हैं, जो वैक्सीन्स की अब सेकेंड डोजेज़ लग रही हैं उस हवाले से, और ख़ास तौर पे जो हेट क्राइम के हवाले से फोर्ड गवर्नमेंट का पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है। प्रीमियर फोर्ड ने लंदन ओंटारियो में काफ़ी खुल के इस बारे में बात भी की थी, और कि जो कल्प्रिट्स हैं उनको सज़ाएं होनी चाहिए। लेकिन इससे हट के गवर्नमेंट क्या ऐसे रिफॉर्म्स लेके आ रही है, पुलिसिंग कैसे होनी चाहिए, जुडिशल सिस्टम जो हैं उनको कैसे रिफॉर्म करना चाहिए, ताकि इस तरह के जो मामलात हैं वो दोबारा ना हमारे शहरों में हों, ना इस कनाडा में हों, ना लोग अपनी जान से जाएं। और इस्लामोफोबिया जो है वो बहुत फैलता जा रहा है, उस हवाले से भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो सामने आ रही हैं, तो इस हवाले से भी उनसे हम बात करेंगे। अगर आप इस प्रोग्राम का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं तो आप हमें प्रोग्राम के बाद रब्ता कर सकते हैं। हमारे जो नंबर्स हैं 9056704114 हैं। आप हमें लिख सकते हैं voiceoftorontotv@gmail.com के ऊपर। आप हमें फॉलो करें, शेयर करें, सोशल मीडिया पे हमारे प्रोग्राम को लाइक करें, उसको शेयर करें अपने दोस्तों के साथ, और ख़ास तौर पे ये जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है उसको ज़रूर आप शेयर करें। आज का ये जो प्रोग्राम है हमारा कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ का, इसके हवाले से तो हमारा सोशल मीडिया हैंडल जो है वो है @voiceoftorontotv। उस पर जाके आप हमें शेयर करें और आप हमें लाइक करें और आगे इसको आप फॉलो भी करें। और अगर आप बिज़नेस कम्युनिटी से ताल्लुक़ रखते हैं तो वी हैव कस्टमाइज पैकेजेस। ख़ास तौर पे जब हमने अपना ये टेलीविज़न लॉन्च किया था रमज़ान के अंदर, तो हमने 1 महीने के लिए 30 डेज़ फ्री एडवर्टाइजिंग रखी थी स्मॉल बिजनेसेस को सपोर्ट करने के लिए, और अब वी आर आउट ऑफ दैट, but we have made some very special customized packages that would really benefit you as a small business। तो आप हमसे प्रोग्राम के बाद रब्ता कर सकते हैं, हमारी टीम को कॉल कर सकते हैं 9056704114 के ऊपर। हम एक छोटे से ब्रेक पे जाते हैं, कुछ मैसेजेस आप देखिए। कुछ हमारे नए प्रोग्राम जो हमने अब लॉन्च किए हैं, उसमें रियल्टर्स कैफ़े हमने लॉन्च किया है, इमिग्रेशन एंड सेटलमेंट का शो हमने लॉन्च किया है, 7 रंग विरसा हमने लॉन्च किया है, और आगे चल के हम और प्रोग्राम जो हैं उसको भी लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं। उन प्रोग्रामों को भी आप देखें, उनका फ़ीडबैक भी ज़रूर दें, और हमें बताएं कि आपको वो प्रोग्राम कैसे लगेंगे। आप उनको कंसिस्टेंटली देखते रहेंगे हर वीक। अब इंशाल्लाह इस सैटरडे और संडे आप इमिग्रेशन सेटलमेंट का शो देखेंगे, और संडे को आप 7 रंग विरसा उसको देखेंगे और आप रियल्टर कैफ़े का शो जो है उसको भी आप दोबारा देख पाएंगे, जो कि थर्सडे को ऑन एयर होता है। हमारे साथ रहिए, हम एक छोटे से ब्रेक पे जाते हैं, फिर हम वापस आते हैं। प्लीज़ डू नॉट चेंज दिस चैनल, प्लीज़ स्टे विद अस। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Since 1993, MWC food banks have provided individuals and families with non-perishable food, halal meat, and essential household items. We have a special focus on the needs of our children. Over 10,000 families across Canada rely on MWC food banks to supplement their food requirements. We serve in Scarborough, Mississauga, and in First Nations communities in Ontario, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. Your generosity can literally change lives. It's time now, more than ever, to look after your neighbor. Charity starts at home. Please donate generously to Muslim Welfare Canada Emergency COVID-19 Food Fund. Call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org. Muslim Welfare Canada has made a concerted effort to lead the fight against child labor, poverty, and illiteracy in third world countries through the generous support of our donors. Both girls and boys receive free, good quality education. Help educate a needy child for just $1 a day or $30 per month. Donate generously. Call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org. A harsh but true reality is that clean drinking water is inaccessible to many people living in third world countries. With the support of our donors, Muslim Welfare Canada has been successful in providing clean water through the digging of water wells and the installation of hand pumps for people living in remote and desert regions. Donate a well or a hand pump. Call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org.
जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी।
मुस्लिम वेलफेयर सेंटर के जरिए आप पाकिस्तान के रेगिस्तान में प्यासों को पानी पिला सकते हैं, गरीब बच्चों की तालीम और माली परवरिश कर सकते हैं, बीमारों का मुफ्त इलाज करवा सकते हैं। ज़कात, सदक़ात या फिदिया देने के लिए आज ही हमें फ़ोन करें 1-866-754-3111।
वेलकम बैक व्यूअर्स, आप देख रहे हैं प्राइम टाइम विद अंजुम मलिक ऑन फ्राइडे नाइट्स ऑन वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टेलीविज़न। और मैंने अपने आज प्रोग्राम के पहले हाफ में पहले आपको बताया भी था कि आज का जो ख़ास तौर पे प्रोग्राम है दैट इज़ गेयर्ड अप विद कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर है। ख़ास तौर पे जो डिप्रेशंस, ओवरडोजेज, सुसाइडल थाट्स, हमारी कम्युनिटी को क्या पता होना चाहिए। बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस काम कर रही हैं, लेकिन इस हवाले से कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है आज वो हमारे साथ हैं। एंड आई एम सो प्लीज टू हैव विद अस डेविड स्मिथ, एंड वी ऑल्सो हैव सिंथुषा with us. A very good evening to both of you, and thank you for joining Prime Time on Voice of Toronto on Friday, June 18th. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Good evening, and thank you for having us.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes? Yep. Can you hear us? No.
I don't think I can hear your voice.
I'm speaking. Santusha, are you able to?
Maybe you need to come a little forward to your mic, David. Kind of.
Okay, does that help? Is that better?
Yeah, it helps. It helps now. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Sorry.
I was not listening you at all, totally.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thank you for both of you. First of all, joining in on a Friday night with us. First of all, a happy Father's Day to all of you on behalf of our station. David, I want to ask, first of all, in regards to what is the working of Canadian Mental Health, CMH? Let's talk about the working process. And then I have a lot of questions to ask you in regards to especially educating this matter. You know, recently there was an incident in London, Ontario, where a 21 or 20-year-old adult has ran over a family of 5. Out of that, 4 people have lost their lives, and 1 is in the hospital. So I know this is alarming, and it is happening in Canada a lot. But let's talk about the working of how Canadian mental health can help someone when they are in this phase of life.
Yeah, if I can begin by giving my condolences to the family and to I think Muslims everywhere. The hate that was expressed in London is unacceptable, and we've certainly don't condone any activity like that. So, yeah, in terms of mental health, our organization in Peel and Dufferin, we have I guess about 250 staff that work supporting people's mental health in a variety of ways through reducing their reliance on addictions, supporting in a crisis situation, helping with depression and anxiety, essentially anything to do with mental health. We have a program that's going to be able to support somebody when they're in need.
Okay. I'm still having a little hard time hearing you. I'm going to ask my MCR to kind of double check on the connection there. Maybe from your end, I cannot hear you that well with your voice.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
that make any difference?
Are you talking into the phone, or you have headphones?
No, I'm talking directly into the computer.
Yeah, into the computer.
It was working before, so-
It would have been better if you had a headphones on from the computer. That would help us a bit more to understand what you're saying. Okay. All right. So let me go to Santusha, and you are a clinical. What is your designation there, Santusha, with Canadian Mental Health?
Yes, I'm a clinical director with the Canadian Mental Health Association in Peel Dufferin, and I'm a social worker by background.
Okay. I think it's a better voice now. Okay. So you are a clinical director.
Correct.
Okay, good enough. Now the voice is good. Everything is good now. All right. So tell us, how would someone would approach your organization? Like, I'm talking about, let's say, parents, if they are watching you tonight and they feel that there is some sort of a shortcomings with their children in home, and they need some sort of help to reach out. What is the process that someone have to go through to get assessed, first of all, that they need help?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Good.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Right.
Yeah, we can
So,
hear you
yeah,
now. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have 2 different ways of accessing our service. Well, 3, I guess. The first is I'd recommend that you go to our website, cmhapeeldufferin.ca. If you go to the website there. It has a whole bunch of information that can help you to sort of sort through what you need.
Yeah.
But there's two numbers to call us at. The first is our front door services. I don't have the number in front of me right now, but I'll get it for you. And the second is our crisis services. And both of those numbers are on our website. So if someone's in crisis and they need immediate help, if they need someone to come out and assess the situation, if someone's experiencing suicidal thoughts or feels like they need to go to the hospital, we have a team that works 24/7 and will respond to the call, and often will come out and do a face-to-face visit and assess people within 24 hours and sometimes within minutes, depending on the situation.
Let's talk about that website first of all. What is that website?
Yep. It's www.cmhapeel.ca.
cmhapeel.com?
Yep.
.com?
.ca. No, it's CA.
Okay.
It's
.ca. Okay, .ca. So it's www.cmhapeel.ca. That's the website. That one needs to reach out in case if you need help. Okay, all right. So, I mean, there are a lot of topics that I want to address, but briefly, let's talk about general depressions, medical overdoses, self-medications, suicidal thoughts, stuff on those lines, that how CMH does help people with that need.
So we service individuals with various types of mental health and addictions issues.
Yeah.
Each assessment and intervention are different depending on what the mental health or addictions issue the individual is facing. We also approach it very holistically, so we look at the person, not just the illness, but what are the other aspects of their lives, including their informal supports and their formal supports, and how do we create plans that are supported by the individual and meet the needs of the individual. So to your earlier question about, what does someone do, or what does a parent do that to help their loved one? Simply calling our service line, you speak directly to a mental health clinician, and they'll go through a series of questions with you, ensure that our services are the right ones, or that we have programs to support, or if there is a different organization that would be suitable given the age or the needs of the individual, then they will do warm transitions there. So I think the most important thing that we can tell the community is that call us and we will do what we can to help you and get you the information and the supports that you need. So the phone number is 905-451-2123. And that's
so
for our general.
905-451-2123. 2123.
That's correct.
Okay.
But if you're in crisis, so if you need immediate mental health supports and you or a family member is in crisis, you can call 905-278-9036.
Could you repeat that number one more time?
Sure. So for crisis services in Peel, which is 24/7, you can call 905-278-9036. And there's a trained mental health clinician on the other side of these phone numbers that will help you and or your family member figure out the supports and services that you need.
Okay. Now, how do you assess people, or at what stage people need to be assessed that there is a problem?
I'll let
So-
you answer that.
Yeah, so we do use standardized assessments to determine what supports and intervention somebody needs. But we work alongside doctors, so we work alongside the person's general practitioner or their GP, or if they have a psychiatrist, we work along with their psychiatrist.
Okay.
We don't necessarily determine whether or not there is a mental health issue, but we will support them in getting that diagnosis and then help them with a treatment plan with their primary care team, so with doctors and psychiatrists.
Okay. David, let me ask you this question. Why do you think, or let me put it this way, what are the reasons of this hate crime when the media generally talks about white supremacists and Islamophobia? In general, we've seen a lot of hate crimes happening or on an increase in Canada. Being you as a CEO of Canadian Mental Health, what sort of data do you have to support that we really have a problem?
Yeah, it's a very tough question. I hope you can hear me okay now.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, good. The relationship between hate and mental health is not absolute. Obviously, sometimes people hate and they have mental health problems, and sometimes they just hate. And I don't know specifically the level that those crimes are raising. It's arising. It's certainly more this year. I think we've seen more instances in the press and more instances that are being discussed than we ever have before. And I honestly don't know the underlying cause for that. I think it's not necessarily related to mental health, although what we have seen this year is an increased level of anxiety and poorer mental health for everyone. 45% of Canadians right now are reporting poorer mental health as a result of having lived through the pandemic. And that shows up in anxiety and depression, and I'm sure many yourself or many of the people watching tonight have felt that increased anxiety, increased sort of weight that we all carry around as part of the pandemic. So I don't know if it's related to that, or if it's just that we're watching it more carefully, and it's hit obviously much closer to home than we've seen it in the recent past.
Santosha, you are a clinical person. Are there any hormone changes in a chemical change in your brain? What transpire to these kind of problems that, especially, the children needs to know this, because the parents need to know this, what they need to watch, what kind of behavior they need to watch when they are looking at their children?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think it's like the last question, there's no absolute, but there is certainly ways that parents or loved ones can look out for behavioral changes or changes in someone's ability to regulate their emotions, or if they're isolating themselves. So mental health can present in many different ways. The symptoms of it present in lots of different ways, and oftentimes there'll be a change from the baseline of what somebody behaves like or acts like on a regular basis, and those are the things that you should look out for. And the time frame of that, the duration, how long. It could be short and it could just be something situational, So I think it's around changes in behavior, the time frame of that change, and then really going to and speaking to your family physician to start the conversation around getting support for yourself or your loved one, however you identify it.
Is that okay? Once you guys establish that there is a issue that need to be addressed, now is that treatment is been given at home, or the affectee has to come in to a hospital or to clinics? How does this whole thing work?
So it's a bit of a spectrum of support. So, for some, they experience their illness so intensely that they need supports and help in the hospital for a time frame. The goal is always to support somebody in the community, in their community, with their natural supports, and building a care team and a care plan around someone to be at home. So our services, we work in the community, we go out to people's homes, we connect with their families, we ensure that they're included in the work that we do. But there's no one way of doing our work. It really does matter what the individual needs are for the person, and we really try to make it as much, the plan as much geared towards them and their recovery.
Now, what ages do you, with your experience, that you guys see that people are more affected with this problem? Is it the minors, the adults, or the teens? What are the stats?
It actually shows up across the lifespan. You see, big changes in life. You see an increase in levels of mental illness as people go through puberty and enter young adulthood. But you see people throughout their lives experiencing mental health concerns, and you see it a lot in the elderly. You see it in people that are going through big changes in their life, people that have had something serious, adverse event that affects them. But you also see it just for what appears to be no reason. It just comes at a time for that individual. So there's no specific dates, but you do see, Cynthia, I don't know if you want to comment, but the specific rises around late youth and certainly in older adults as well. Is
it more? I'm trying to find those words. It's a very fragile subject for me to talk on this, but I see that the anger management, the anger issues you go to the malls, you go to people, you see them in the lines, you see in the grocery store sometimes. People have a very erratic behaviors, and sometimes when I'm passing through there and I see this, I talk to myself and say that maybe this person needs some help, and maybe he just doesn't know where to go and turn for help,
And that's the message, I think, is to anyone who's feeling like things are getting out of control, or they're seeing someone within their family, reach out to a professional. Talk to your family doctor. Give us a call. Talk to our intake services. If it's getting really, really out of hand, then call the crisis services. But reach out and talk to someone who's close to you that you trust, or you've worked with in the past, or give us a call.
There have been few instances in Toronto where I have known those people, and their children have that kind of an issue, but they kind of end up in hospitals under a watch. This is another reason sometimes people are not vocal about this, and they don't talk about this, and they have a fear that if we're going to reach out to a Canadian mental health for any sort of support or a help, we might end up in a hospital and get locked up.
It's an interesting worry that people have, because it's actually the opposite that happens. The longer you wait before you seek help, the more severe it's going to get, and the more likely it is that you're going to end up in an acute setting. The goal for us as community mental health workers and an organization is to keep people out of hospital. We've got a new crisis program where we ride in police cars and respond to 911 calls. And when the police used to arrive at mental health scenes, 90% of the time the person would end up being taken to the hospital. When we arrive with the police, it drops to 19%. So from 90% of the people that they go see ending up going to the hospital, often against their will, to 19%. So the involvement of a community mental health professional is very helpful in trying to make sure that you solve your problem at home with your family and not in an acute setting. Sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes you need it.
One of the questions that I was thinking to ask you guys, that when there is a 911 call get placed and it is related to a disturbed family member at home who is looking for some sort of a relief, and how does you guys work with the police? Do you guys as a workers or from your CMH, they accompany the police at that call and they arrive at the scene together? How does the whole thing work?
In the best circumstances, that's how it works. The problem in Peel is to cover all of the calls. There's about 7,000, just under 7,000 calls for mental health each year.
I think we have a call. Hello.
Hi, this is Natalia Kusendova calling.
Oh, hi, Natalia. We have Canadian Mental Health CEO David Smith with us, and we are still discussing in general. Do you have a question for David? I know you also work in a hospital setting yourself.
Well, thank you. I mean, I know David. We've had quite a few interactions, and I think they're doing a great job at the Peel chapter of our CMHA. So mental health is something that I'm very, very passionate about, and one of the things that we are doing in the region of Peel is expanding our MCIRC, which is our mental health intervention unit, where we have police officers working with a crisis worker or a mental health nurse. So actually, a question for David would be, we know that the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted Ontarians, especially their mental health. And here in the region of Peel, where we have a lot of marginalized communities and a lot of visible minorities, we have very specific linguistic and socio-demographic needs when it comes to mental health. So maybe David could share with us a little bit about, what are the trends that we have seen in the mental health needs of our very diverse community in Peel.
David, we have MPP Natalia with us from the Ford government, and it's good that she have called when we are discussing this. So please go ahead with that question.
Hi, Natalia.
Oh, hi, David. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice. So in terms of, I'll speak first to COVID and its effect.
Am I supposed to ask the question, Anjum, or did you already ask it?
No. He understood your question. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So in terms of COVID-19, we have seen a fairly significant increase in the calls for help. We normally get about 47,000 crisis calls each year. This last year that just finished March 31st, we had over 60,000 calls. So roughly a 35% increase. And our front door calls for just asking, normal routine questions also went up about 35%. So we've seen a drastic increase in the number of people reaching out for help, which I think is indicative of the 45% of the population that's saying they have worse mental health in the pandemic. And then related to racialized populations or populations that experience increased poverty, we've certainly seen a lot more. We don't have numbers on exactly how many of what groups have called more, but anecdotally we've seen an increase in calls from all communities, and we've certainly seen a drastic increase in the number of people that are also asking for sort of socioeconomic help, food, rent arrears, those kinds of things, and we've I think quadrupled the amount of support we've given people through food and rent arrears and furniture and those sort of things.
Does that answer your question, Natalia?
To be honest, I didn't hear the answer. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's I'm on mute or something, but I can't hear David at all.
Oh, you can't? Oh, okay. No, I think he can hear you very well. Your mic is on and we can hear him. Do you want me to repeat the question to him?
Sure.
David, did you get the question that Natalia asked you?
Yeah. I just didn't know if she, maybe for some reason
You're not getting the voice? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anjum, why don't I call back? I will call back.
No, that's okay. What we're gonna do, Natalia, we're gonna go on a 2-3 minutes of break, and then we're gonna connect with you. Okay? So you can call back in about 3 minutes or so. All right?
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye. David, before we wrap up, I just want to go through a couple of things. The crisis phone number, Santusha, can you just go through those numbers one more time?
Absolutely. So if you're looking for mental health and addiction supports, or have any questions or need a clinician to speak to, please call 905-451-2123.
Yep.
For those experiencing mental health crisis, or a family member that is experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call our 24/7 crisis support PEAL at 905-278-9036.
Guys, I really appreciate your time tonight. I'm sure that a little bit of the information that we exchanged during this short interview could come out of some benefit to some people, for sure. Any special message, David, from you, first of all?
I think that the message is, if you're concerned in any way about your mental health, please reach out to us. We've got people that are available and can help you work through whatever your questions are about what happens next, or what may be some of the options. We're here.
Thank you, David. Santusha?
I would echo the same thing, that if you are worried about yourself or worried about a loved one, please reach out. That's the best help you can start with, so please don't hesitate.
Yeah, so before you guys go, I'm gonna just repeat those numbers for our viewers who are watching us tonight. We have David Smith, who is the CEO of Canadian Mental Health PEAL, and we have Santusha, she is from the clinical side. Crisis Center phone number 905-278-9036, and then the second number is 905-451-2123, and the website is www.cmhpeel.ca.
CMHA.
Okay. cmhapeel.ca. You guys, thank you so much for your time. Stay blessed. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye. नाज़रीन, ये थे हमारे साथ डेविड स्मिथ, जो कि कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ एसोसिएशन जो हैं और जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अपील की उनकी सीईओ, और उनके साथ ही हमारे साथ संतोषा और क्लिनिकल डायरेक्टर हैं। हमने थोड़ी सी आज बात की इन रिगार्ड्स टू कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ, ऑब्वियसली डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स के ऊपर। लेकिन अगर आप आज ये प्रोग्राम देख रहे हैं और आप के बच्चे ये प्रोग्राम देख रहे हैं और आप समझते हैं कि आपको किसी किस्म की हेल्प की ज़रूरत है, तो प्लीज़ आप उनको रीच आउट करें इन नंबर्स के ऊपर, जो कि हमने आपको दोबारा भी बता देते हैं। 905-278 और 9036 ये उनका क्राइसिस लाइन का नंबर है, और 905-451-2123 कैनेडियन मेंटल हेल्थ का नंबर है। उनकी वेबसाइट है www.cmhapeel.ca। हम एक छोटे से ब्रेक पे जाते हैं कुछ मैसेजेस के लिए, फिर उसके बाद वापस आते हैं। तो हमारे साथ नताली होंगी। प्लीज़ स्टे विद अस। थैंक यू। फ़लस्तीन का जो कॉज है, काफ़ी लोग वहाँ शहीद हो चुके हैं, डिस्ट्रक्शन हो चुकी है।
ये एक बहुत बड़ा तमाचा है पूरी दुनिया के मुंह पर, ह्यूमन राइट्स वालों के मुंह पर।
इंसानी जान की कीमत हर जगह पे सेम है।
खुदा के लिए इंसान को इंसान समझे, बाकी मजहब तो आपका सारा कुछ अपनी जगह पे।
It's always a very emotional.
हम भी बैठ जमा कर रहे हैं फ़लस्तीन भाइयों के लिए।
I think the long weekend will definitely still be in lockdown.
हमारा जो बजट है वो पास हो गया है।
क्या खास ऐसी प्रमोशन आप देके जा रहे हैं?
फर्स्ट 10 कस्टमर हमारे पास आएंगे।
फर्स्ट 10 कस्टमर
गोल्ड की जो नोट पिन है बिल्कुल फ्री देंगे।
Please stay with us and you are watching Prime Time with Anjum Malik on Friday.
रियल एस्टेट जरूरत भी, इन्वेस्टमेंट भी। रियल एस्टेट खरीदते और बेचते वक्त किन बातों का ख्याल रखना है? इंपॉर्टेंट टिप्स फॉर द सेलर्स एंड बायर्स। मैं असफर ताहिर आपके लिए ला रहा हूँ रियल्टर्स कैफे, जहाँ पर प्रोफेशनल रियल्टर्स एंड मॉर्गेज स्पेशलिस्ट्स आपके उन तमाम सवालों के जवाब देंगे जो आप जानना चाहते हैं। रियल्टर्स कैफे, ओनली ऑन वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टीवी।
Since 1993, MWC food banks have provided individuals and families with non-perishable food, halal meat, and essential household items. We have a special focus on the needs of our children. Over 10,000 families across Canada rely on MWC food banks to supplement their food requirements. We serve in Scarborough, Mississauga, and in First Nations communities in Ontario, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. Your generosity can literally change lives. It's time now, more than ever, to look after your neighbor. Charity starts at home. Please donate generously to Muslim Welfare Canada Emergency COVID-19 Food Fund. Call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org. Muslim Welfare Canada has made a concerted effort to lead the fight against child labor, poverty, and illiteracy in third world countries through the generous support of our donors. Both girls and boys receive free, good quality education. Help educate a needy child for just $1 a day or $30 per month. Donate generously. Call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org. A harsh but true reality is that clean drinking water is inaccessible to many people living in third world countries. With the support of our donors, Muslim Welfare Canada has been successful in providing clean water through the digging of water wells and the installation of hand pumps for people living in remote and desert regions. Donate a well or a hand pump, call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org.
जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी।
मुस्लिम वेलफेयर सेंटर के जरिए आप पाकिस्तान के रेगिस्तान में प्यासों को पानी पिला सकते हैं, गरीब बच्चों की तालीम और माली परवरिश कर सकते हैं, बीमारों का मुफ्त इलाज करवा सकते हैं। ज़कात, सदक़ात या फिदिया देने के लिए आज ही हमें फ़ोन करें 1-866-754-3111।
Welcome back, viewers. You are watching Prime Time with me, Anjum Malik, on Voice of Toronto Television, and I am very pleased to have with us Natalia with us tonight. Good evening, Natalia. How are you tonight?
Good evening. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much. Sorry for that hold. We were talking, as you know, with the Canadian mental health people. First of all, I want to ask you, Natalia, in regards to the reopening strategies with the government right now, let's educate our viewership what is that we need to expect days to come. Are we going to have a short, that's July 2nd date to be revised, or is going to be anything after July 2nd?
As of today, we have 75% of adult Ontarians who have received at least one dose of the vaccine, and more than 20% of adult Ontarians are fully immunized with 2 vaccines. What that means is 12 million doses administered and over 2.3 million who are fully vaccinated. So these are really, really great numbers that we're looking at.
Yeah.
And what I'm also thrilled to report is our daily average of vaccines right now is about 200,000 daily vaccines are being administered to Ontarians. So we are really ahead of our schedule when it comes to vaccination. So I can pretty confidently say that we will be ready to move into step 2 of our provincial framework fairly soon, because these numbers are very encouraging. And even our daily COVID cases, for example, today we have 345 cases total and only 50 in the region of Peel. And our percent positivity rate is as low as 1.3%, which is truly excellent, because at some points in the pandemic in the region of Peel especially, we were seeing our percent positivity rate as high as 20%. So 1.3 is really, really a great decrease, and that's exactly what we're looking for. With step 2 of the provincial framework, even though I can't tell you exactly when it will happen, I am hopeful that it will happen ahead of schedule, but it's too early to decide. some of the changes that we are expecting is that outdoor social gatherings will be permitted up to 25 people.
Okay.
Indoor social gatherings will be allowed for up to 5 people. And essential retail capacity at 50% and non-essential retail capacity at 25%. So those are, prudent and cautious increases. But, everything is pointing to the fact that we are doing very well with our vaccination campaign, and our numbers are going down, and we're very, very happy and to be moving forward in our framework.
So let me ask you this, Natalia, in regards to people who have taken the first shots of Pfizer or Moderna before May 9th, can they now schedule as of Monday for their second shots, and are they readily available, or we're still seeing glitches on the websites with the booking goes?
So you stated correctly that as of Monday, those individuals will be eligible to book their second dose appointment, and based on the National Advisory Committee on Immunization, NACI, they have confirmed that a mixed vaccine series can be completely safe and effective. So whether you have received Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca as your first vaccine, the second dose right now what we have available is Pfizer and Moderna here in Ontario, and it is completely safe to take either one. And so the best vaccine that you can take, that any Ontarian can take, is the first one that is available to you wherever you may be living. And so, yes, we know that there have been some glitches happening with the provincial website.
Yeah.
That's due to the high volumes, right? Which is not a bad problem to have because so many people are going and booking their second dose. We are working on it. Our Solicitor General, together with Minister of Health, they're actively addressing this issue. But it's due to the high volumes of Ontarians that are trying to book appointments. And I believe today we have booked 150,000 appointments for second dose. So, there's a lot of reasons to celebrate.
Okay. No, that's a good sign that people are getting their shots, and the government has kind of accelerated the program in a way that people were hoping to have vaccinated by September, and we are already in June, and we are seeing that the people are getting the second vaccine. So it's a good thing, and I think the credit goes to you guys a lot. I mean, to the Premier, and you guys have been working very hard on this, because there was initial issues of the vaccines, but I think now they are in abundance available, and that's why there are a lot of vaccine clinics available, a lot of pop-up clinics available. So I think you guys have been doing a good job with that. Thank you for that.
So I appreciate that, but I just, want to make sure we give the credit to our frontline heroes, the nurses, the doctors, paramedics, pharmacists, and everyone who has been, vaccinating people and working extremely hard to get those needles into arms. So that's really where the credit is due. Thank you.
What is good, you guys deserve that. I want to touch base on a couple of very sensitive issues, Natalia. You know that just about now 10 days ago, there was an incident in London, Ontario, where a Pakistani family lost their life. One of their child is in hospital. Premier and MPP Khalid, they went down there into the visual as well, and they were on the podium, and Premier was very adamant about the reforms into the laws and the punishments and all that. Let's talk about that. Why are we experiencing so much of this hate in the communities? And you yourself is from a medical background yourself. That was the reason we had the Canadian mental health people with us tonight to discuss about that. But being a politician, from the other side, what do you see that needs to be done to curb this, that it shouldn't happen again in our societies? Hello? Are you there? Natalia, can you hear me? I think Nazreen, we have lost a connection with her. Hopefully she'll call back. and we will talk to her in regards to this couple of very sensitive issues that I was trying to ask her. हमारे स्टूडियोज़ की लाइन जो है वो है 9056704114. हम एक छोटे से 1 मिनट के ब्रेक पे जाते हैं और वी विल ट्राई टू कनेक्ट विद हर एंड देन विल कम बैक. प्लीज़ कीप ऑन वॉचिंग प्राइम टाइम विद अंजुम मलिक. थैंक यू. फ़लस्तीन का जो कॉज है, काफ़ी लोग वहाँ शहीद हो चुके हैं, डिस्ट्रक्शन हो चुकी है.
ये एक बहुत बड़ा तमाचा है पूरी दुनिया के मुंह पर. ह्यूमन राइट्स वालों के मुंह पर
इंसानी जान की कीमत हर जगह पे सेम है.
खुदा के लिए इंसान को इंसान समझे, बाकी मजहब तो आपका सारा कुछ अपनी जगह पे.
It's always a very emotional.
हम भी बैन जमा कर रहे हैं फ़लस्तीन भाइयों के लिए.
I think the long weekend will definitely still be in lockdown.
हमारा जो बजट है वो पास हो गया है.
क्या खास ऐसी प्रमोशन आप दे के जा रहे हैं?
फर्स्ट 10 कस्टमर हमारे पास आएंगे.
फर्स्ट 10 कस्टमर
गोल्ड की जो नोट पिन है बिल्कुल फ्री देंगे.
प्लीज स्टे विद अस एंड यू आर वाचिंग प्राइम टाइम विद अंजुम मलिक ऑन फ्राइडे. We got connected with Natalia, so she's with us. Welcome again, Natalia. I was asking you that very important question. As you know that last about 10 days ago, there was an incident in London, Ontario, and the Premier was very adamant about these reforms, the new laws, the punishments and all that. What do you make the whole thing of this? Like, why it is happening in our province so much, all these kind of incidents? And what is the government is doing to curb this, that it shouldn't happen again?
Very good question, and very timely question. And you know, any crime motivated by hate of any human being is absolutely wrong and should be condemned by all levels of government. And of course, our government, with our leader Doug Ford and all the PC MPPs, condemn this heinous crime that happened against our London family. You know, this family was just like any other Ontarian family, being hardworking citizens, contributing to society, and this crime is absolutely despicable, and such hate has no place in Ontario. Having said that, I know you asked me about the motion, or you wanted to talk about the motion that was presented in the House, and I just want to be very clear on the record that one of our PC MPPs, and I know that he's known to you, MPP Khalid Rashid, who today was promoted as Associate Minister of Digital Government.
Well, congratulations about that. Yeah.
For that. He introduced a motion, and it reads that in the opinion of the House, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario condemns all acts of violence and terrorism against people of the Muslim faith and reaffirms its condemnation of all forms of Islamophobia and its support for the Anti-Racism Directorate. And so this motion was unanimously adopted in the House, I believe last week, received support from all parties, and that's exactly where we all stand. All members of the Legislative Assembly, regardless which party we represent, are in support of this motion and want to denounce all Islamophobia and all hate crimes in Ontario.
One of the questions that comes to anybody's mind is when these things happen, you know, when people lose their lives, they lose their loved ones, and the government from provincial, from the federal levels, everyone, you know, they goes down there and they talk about the Islamophobia, they talk about the hate crime and everything. And it has happened in the past. It happened in Quebec, in Montreal. It had happened here last year as well in Ontario. We have not seen any, major concrete reforms that has been brought forward to really address this kind of problems.
Well, our Premier Doug Ford is the first Premier that has called upon to form a new council of equity of opportunity, which is made up of, people of various backgrounds to advise the Premier exactly on how to root out systemic racism and all forms of racism.
Right.
So that's one concrete action. We have also increased funding through the Solicitor General, Sylvia Jones, for anti-racism initiatives, whether it's through policing or through community engagement as well. There are concrete funds allocated to combating racism in all its forms in Ontario. Another example, for example, our Minister of Education, Minister Lecce, has been working very hard to root out some forms of systemic racism in our schools. In the region of Peel, he was focusing on anti-Black racism because we found some very horrific reports of anti-Black racism in our school system in Peel. But as the minister called upon an investigation, it has been revealed to us that there are many other forms of racism within our school system, including Islamophobia, homophobia, and anti-Semitism. So, this is a government that is committed to fighting racism in all of its forms, and you see it through various actions of our government. And, the fact that we are appointing more ministers, even today, that come from visible minorities, I think is a strong sign for the support of Premier Ford and our entire caucus for the people who come from racialized communities. We want to show Ontarians that they have a rightful place in their government, and I think it's important that the government reflects and looks like what Ontarians look like. So I'm very, very proud of my two colleagues in Mississauga that were appointed today, and I think they will be great leaders within our government, and they will help us combat systemic racism and also Islamophobia. I think, the fact that Khalid Rashid today was promoted as minister, I think is a very important step forward, and he will be a strong voice in our government and a representative of the Muslim faith.
I hope so. I hope so. Just one question before we go for tonight, and I'll talk to you again in next few days. How do you guys foresee yourself, next year in coming elections?
Well, it's a very good question, Anjum, and I have to say that we're still in the middle of the pandemic, so we are still very preoccupied with the day to make sure that there is not a fourth wave and that this final reopening is the last one, that we don't have to lock down again. So we are still pretty much preoccupied with the business of governing, but I know you say it and others say it as well. How are we preparing for election? Well, as you know, gatherings were not permitted until very recently. So of course, we have not been door knocking or anything like that because we don't want to jeopardize the safety of Ontarians. But I think as things start to reopen slowly, we will be starting to think about the election efforts. But I do think, with the strong leadership at the helm and the many things that we delivered for Ontarians when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to mental health, support for small businesses, tourism, combating racism, combating human trafficking, and many other things that, we're very proud to have on our record, in 3 years that we've been in government. I think the people of Ontario will have a clear choice when they come to the ballots a year from now. But, a year in politics is like a decade. So today, it's very difficult to say what the people of Ontario, how they will vote. But at the end of the day, the people are always right. So it is really up to them to pass judgment on how well we have been governing. And we still have a full year in our mandate, and we're committed to governing for the people.
Well, keep on doing the good jobs. So hopefully everything will be streamlined and you'll float.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you again. Have a great evening and happy Father's Day to you. Before I let you go tonight, the Sunday is a Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you very much, and happy Father's Day to all Ontario's fathers. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
नाज़रीन, ये थी हमारे साथ नतालिया, MPP फ्राम मिसिसागा सेंटर, और इस प्रोग्राम में मेरी कोशिश ये रहती है कि मुख्तलिफ़ ज़ावियों से हम बहुत सारी चीज़ों को डिस्कस करें और बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपके सामने भी लाएं। कुछ अकाउंटेबिलिटी का भी इशू होता है गवर्नमेंट के साथ, उनको अकाउंटेबल भी ठहराया जाए, सर्टेन चीज़ों पर डिस्कशंस की जाएँ। दैट इज़ द होल पॉइंट ऑफ वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो, इज़ योर वॉइस योर सिटी, दैट्स आवर स्लोगन। वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टीवी जो है उसके लिए फ़ीडबैक जो है आपका बहुत ज़रूरी रहता है कि इस प्रोग्राम को जब आप देखते हैं प्राइम टाइम विद अंजुम मलिक ऑन फ्राइडे लाइव, तो what we request you is your feedback. This is how we can get better and perform better and bring out to you know, much better programs in coming days, inshallah. I think this is an end for me for tonight. And before I go, I will just simply say that respect your parents. I don't have one alive, but whoever, you know, all of you who have live parents who are alive in this world, respect them, love them, look after them. This is very important. Father's Day is coming, and please look after your parents, your fathers. Make it special for them, that special day. और अपना ख्याल रखें और अपने इर्द गिर्द के लोगों का भी ख्याल रखें। ज़िंदगी और सेहत में वफा की। तो I'll come back to you next week again with another exciting episode with some new guests. Till then, a very good evening, a very good night. Bye-bye. Thank you. फ़लस्तीन का जो कॉज है, काफ़ी लोग वहाँ शहीद हो चुके हैं, डिस्ट्रक्शन हो चुकी है।
ये एक बहुत बड़ा तमाचा है पूरी दुनिया के मुंह पर, ह्यूमन राइट्स वालों के मुंह पर।
इंसानी जान की कीमत हर जगह पे सेम है।
खुदा के लिए इंसान को इंसान समझे, बाकी मजहब तो आपका सारा कुछ अपनी जगह पे।
It's always a very emotional.
हम भी बैग जमा कर रहे हैं फ़लस्तीन भाइयों के लिए।
I think the long weekend will definitely still be in lockdown.
हमारा जो बजट है वो पास हो गया है।
क्या खास ऐसी प्रमोशन आप दे के जा रहे हैं?
फर्स्ट 10 कस्टमर हमारे पास आएंगे।
फर्स्ट 10 कस्टमर
गोल्ड की जो नोट है बिल्कुल फ्री देंगे।
Please stay with us and you are watching Prime Time with Anjum Malik on Friday.
रियल एस्टेट, जरूरत भी इन्वेस्टमेंट भी। रियल एस्टेट खरीदते और बेचते वक्त किन बातों का ख्याल रखना है? इंपॉर्टेंट टिप्स फॉर द सेलर्स एंड बायर्स। मैं असफर ताहिर आपके लिए ला रहा हूँ रियल्टर्स कैफे, जहाँ पर प्रोफेशनल रियल्टर्स एंड मॉर्गेज स्पेशलिस्ट आपके उन तमाम सवालों के जवाब देंगे जो आप जानना चाहते हैं। रियल्टर्स कैफे, ओनली ऑन वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टीवी। रियल एस्टेट, जरूरत भी इन्वेस्टमेंट भी। रियल एस्टेट खरीदते और बेचते वक्त किन बातों का ख्याल रखना है? इंपॉर्टेंट टिप्स फॉर द सेलर्स एंड बायर्स। मैं असफर ताहिर आपके लिए ला रहा हूँ रियल्टर्स कैफे, जहाँ पर प्रोफेशनल रियल्टर्स एंड मॉर्गेज स्पेशलिस्ट आपके उन तमाम सवालों के जवाब देंगे जो आप जानना चाहते हैं। रियल्टर्स कैफे, ओनली ऑन वॉइस ऑफ टोरंटो टीवी।